Have you ever looked around and wondered why some people seem to thrive financially while others, even with, great educations, good careers, just seem to struggle?
Yeah, it's a really common question, isn't it? Why do some people build incredible wealth, maybe even without that traditional path, while others just can't seem to get ahead?
Exactly. It feels like a fundamental puzzle. So today we're doing a deep dive into some really transformative financial ideas, insights that might just unravel that mystery for you.
Think of it as a shortcut, maybe. A way to understand a completely different approach to money.
That's a good way to put it.
And the core of this really comes from a book that challenged a lot of conventional thinking. We're talking about Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Ah, yes, a massively influential book, first published back in, what, 1997?
That's right, 1997. And it's resonated globally because it shares these, well, quite powerful and often counterintuitive money lessons.
Lessons learned from two very different dads in his life, right?
Exactly. There's his own father, who he calls his poor dad, highly educated, worked hard, but financially never really got there.
Okay.
And then there's his best friend's father, the rich dad,
Yeah.
more entrepreneurial, maybe less formally educated in some ways, but incredibly financially savvy.
So the contrast is the key.
It is. The whole book is built around those contrasting lessons.
Oh, okay. So our mission today seems pretty clear then. We need to unpack these, well, sometimes surprising, even provocative ideas from those two perspectives.
Ideas that really challenge how we think about work, about ownership, about building wealth.
Right. And then, crucially, explore what these insights, some might even say radical insights, could mean for your approach to finance, how you think about your own financial freedom.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's tackle that first big idea from Kiyosaki, the one that often stops people in their tracks. The rich don't work for money.
Hmm.
I mean, that sounds almost backwards, doesn't it? We all work for money, right?
Yeah.
What's he really getting at here? How does this redefine work?
Well, it's fascinating because right away, the book sets up this really stark contrast. You've got what he calls poor people, and the middle class too, really, who trade their time directly for a paycheck.
Okay, the standard model. Work hours, get paid.
Exactly. They work for the money. But Kiyosaki's rich people, they figured out how to make their money work for them
How?
through assets.
Precisely. By strategically building assets. It's a total mindset flip. You go from being primarily a wage earner to becoming an owner, an investor.
So it's not just about, like, earning interest passively. It's bigger than that.
Oh, much bigger. It's a whole paradigm shift. Instead of selling your most valuable resource, your time, you learn to use your capital, your money, so does the earning. Kiyosaki basically calls this the ultimate form of financial leverage.
Right. And that idea, making money work for you, it really seems to depend on what Kiyosaki calls a completely different financial mindset.
Hmm.
He contrasts these two belief systems, doesn't he? The conventional versus the, well, unconventional. He does, very clearly. The poor dad figure really represents that conventional path we're often taught. Study hard, get good grades, find a secure job.
The safe route. Security, steady paycheck, climb the ladder.
Exactly. That philosophy prioritizes security above all else. But the rich dad pushed something really different. His philosophy was more like, learn how money actually works and then make it work for you.
So less focus on job security, more on financial intelligence.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It emphasizes financial literacy, understanding business, knowing how to invest. Those are the real skills. It's a complete shift away from just relying on a salary from an employer.
Which leads us straight into distinguishing assets from liabilities. Now, this sounds like basic accounting, maybe.
Well, yes and no.
But Kiyosaki's take on it isn't just dry definitions, is it? He really challenges us to look at the direction of cash flow. This is where he gets famously provocative.
Absolutely. Because for Kiyosaki, it's incredibly simple but profound. An asset isn't just something you own on paper. It's something that actively, consistently puts money into your pocket.
Okay, like what? Give us some examples.
Think rental properties generating rent, dividend-paying stocks, maybe a business you own that throws off cash flow, things that feed your income stream.
Right. And a liability.
A liability does the opposite. It takes money out of your pocket. Things like credit card debt, car loans. And, controversially, he often includes your own personal home in this category.
Okay, yeah, that's the big one people often push back on because traditionally your house is seen as your biggest asset.
Right. In terms of net worth, maybe. But Kiyosaki's focus is purely on cash flow. Does it generate income for you month after month? For most homeowners, their primary residence generates expenses. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance.
It costs money, doesn't make money.
Exactly. So in his framework, it functions as a liability. He'd say the rich focus on acquiring income-generating assets, while the poor and middle class often acquire liabilities they think are assets.
And that's how they get stuck in what he calls the rat race.
That's the idea. Chasing paychecks just to cover the expenses generated by their liabilities, it's a really radical reframing of what owning something means in purely financial terms.
Okay, let's stick with the house example for a second because it is so
Yeah.
provocative. So he's not saying houses have no value.
No, not at all. He clarifies that a house can absolutely be an asset. If it's a rental property, for instance, bringing in more rent than it costs.
So if it produces positive cash flow.
Precisely. His point isn't about the resale value down the line. It's about the here and now cash flow impact. Is it helping you build wealth today by putting money in your pocket, or is it draining your resources?
I see. So the distinction is crucial because it guides your decisions, like what you choose to buy or invest in.
Absolutely. It forces you to ask, will this purchase make me money, or will it cost me money over time? The goal is to shift your focus towards accumulating things that generate income, moving you towards financial freedom, rather than just accumulating possessions that increase your expenses.
That makes sense. This focus on financial literacy, it feels really key. I mean, many of us finish school, even college, feeling totally unprepared for, the actual financial world.
That's a major point in the book.
What does Kiyosaki say is the biggest gap in our education system, and how should we fill it?
He argues pretty strongly that schools train us to be good employees. They teach us how to work for money.
Right, how to get a job.
But they don't teach us how to be financially intelligent, how to understand money, how it moves, how to make it work for us.
So it's not about needing advanced economics degrees.
Not necessarily. It's about practical financial literacy. Understanding basic concepts like cash flow, the difference between assets and liabilities, the basics of investing, how businesses work, real-world stuff.
Things you don't typically learn in history or literature class.
Exactly. He highlights this huge, often ignored gap. And he basically advocates for taking charge of your own financial education, seeking out that knowledge yourself, because the system likely won't provide it.
Okay, and that kind of self-education often involves stepping outside your comfort zone, maybe taking some risks. Which brings us to another point. Don't fear risk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my first reaction, and probably many people's, is, well, that's easy for a rich person to say. What's Kiyosaki actually mean here? Is he just saying be reckless? Or is it more nuanced?
That's a very common reaction, and he anticipates it. It's definitely more nuanced. The idea isn't to be reckless or to, gamble everything away.
Okay, good.
Because avoiding risk entirely is also risky in its own way.
Yeah.
It often keeps people financially stuck, right? You never grow.
True. Inflation eats away at savings if you do nothing.
Exactly. So Kiyosaki argues that financial intelligence isn't about avoiding risk. It's about understanding it, managing it, and maybe even learning to use calculated risk to your advantage.
How do you do that?
Through knowledge and education, primarily. The more you understand an investment, a market, or a type of business, the less risky it actually feels to you. You can see the potential pitfalls, but also the opportunities.
So knowledge reduces perceived risk.
Precisely. It empowers you to make informed decisions that can grow your wealth, instead of just letting fear paralyze you or keep you stuck in low-return options. It's about being informed and calculated, not just blindly brave.
Got it. Okay, finally, there's this powerful idea about why we work. It's not just for the paycheck. He says, work to learn, not just to earn.
Yes, this is a crucial one for long-term thinking.
It kind of reminds me of that old saying, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. But Kiyosaki seems to take it further, like, learn how to build a fishing business.
That's a great analogy, exactly. He suggests that especially early in your career, you should sometimes choose jobs or projects based on the skills you'll acquire, not just the salary.
What kind of skills?
Really valuable, leverageable skills.
Mm.
Things like sales, marketing, communication, understanding financial statements, leadership, investing, negotiation, management.
Skills that help you build and manage assets later on.
Precisely. Even if the immediate pay isn't the absolute highest, acquiring these skills is like investing in yourself. They become your intellectual capital.
Ah, intellectual capital. I like that.
Yeah, it's the knowledge and abilities that allow you to eventually create systems or ventures where your money works for you. It compounds over time, offering far greater potential rewards than just clocking in for a slightly higher salary today.
So looking at the big picture then, rich dad, poor dad, It really aims to fundamentally shift how you think about money, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It takes these potentially complex ideas and presents them in a deceptively simple, very practical, and often really motivational way.
Yeah, it's definitely motivational. Now, some critics do say it oversimplifies things, maybe glosses over the how-to details sometimes.
That's a fair criticism you hear. It's not a detailed investment manual, for sure. It's more about the mindset, the philosophy.
But despite those criticisms, for literally millions of people around the world, it seems to have been a genuine eye-opener. It
Yeah.
changes their perspective.
Without a doubt. It's sparked countless financial journeys. And that's really why we wanted to do this deep dive. It's for anyone out there who feels stuck, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, and wants to find a path towards building real financial freedom.
A starting point for thinking differently.
Exactly. And maybe if there's one core thought to leave everyone with today, building on everything we've discussed, it comes down to this. It's ultimately not about how much money you earn.
Okay.
It's about how much money you keep. And, even more importantly, how effectively you make that money multiply, how hard your money works for you.
Right. Earn, keep, multiply. That's a powerful thought to chew on.
It really encapsulates the rich dad philosophy.
Well, hopefully this gives you plenty to think about. Keep learning, keep exploring these ideas, and see how you might apply them to your own financial journey.